Welcome everyone to our first webinar in Authentic Coaching Academy, and our guest Katerina Kanelidou. Actually, she's actually my coach, and she's actually heading the team and group coaching community practice in ICF for this second year for her now. And actually, she's one of the founders of Global Team Coaching Academy. And with my mentor, Carl Van Huy and Jonathan. So actually, and she's a PCC coach, and actually she has and the founder of six methods, right? Company, six steps.
I think.
Yeah, six steps company, which is serving corporates and leadership development, team coaching and cultural transformation in Greece. Thank you, Katerina, for being with us. And thanks everyone actually for attending on time. I'm seeing that you already have been in the room for some time actually before 5 p.m. And I'm really thanking you for putting this effort in being in this conversation. Actually, the way that we will do this today is actually it will be a conversation between myself and Katerina, and actually we will have this as a casual conversation. And when somebody wants to actually come in with a question, with something that needs clarification, just put a question on the chat for everyone, and we will pick up from there and open the camera and just start talking. So I believe that this will be a great thing, and I see here a really great profile guests from. Most of them, I know most of you guys really are practitioners in the market and leadership development, and I believe that we're among, and I feel that I'm among my family now. So, how are you, Katerina?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you very much, Sharaf, for the invitation, and thanks to everyone who has joined us today.
Yeah. So actually, the title itself of the day, actually, I chose Reborn to Sustain. Whenever transformation comes to my mind, it comes in with the image of the phoenix. Actually, I used to have a company called Transformage, and our logo was a phoenix. It's a symbol of renewal and reforming and this stuff. And actually, whenever things are getting tough in the market, and with companies, with people, with teams, with any system, there comes a time where you need to make a major disruption, maybe create a rebirth, and that's why I chose this Reborn. And I feel that during the coaching journey I had with you, Katerina, I felt moments of rebirth. Something new is emerging, and this actually creates sustainability as we move forward. And I just wanted to ask you about that. How do you relate to it in the team in your practice, and what you saw from stories and organizations? So I'll just keep the mic with you. And
okay, that's interesting analogy, the phoenix, because the phoenix is born from the ashes. And I hope that our goal is not to get to the point that we have to work with ashes. So it can be in the form of the burnout of a person, but how to be able to, and you mentioned sustainability. So sustainability used to be about only financial sustainability. It was only about, sustainability has to do with the environment. But now we understand that sustainability has to do with any kind of resources, actually. The human resources, our energy, our time, so it's everything. So how not to get to the point that we need to be reborn from the ashes. And the other interesting thing about the transformation is that we had the assumption, and sometimes we still have, that we are systems, because even one individual is a system that remains the same, and we don't. Even we do not intentionally change, we do. We have Heraclitus, who had said that no man crosses the same river twice, because it's not the same man and it's not the same river. So there is always this constant change, and actually this is the only stable in our lives, the change. So the question then becomes of how we are able to be the ones who are mastering this change and are able to sometimes either respond or anticipate, if possible, to the events that are happening, and always guide the change that we want to have in organizations that will be towards a positive, sustainable change.
Okay. So that's amazing. You know, the point that you said, it's about not reaching this moment of being ashes. You know, this is something.
Yeah.
However, you know, I believe that any change that comes in, it brings in new energy, and you have to let go of something to change the way. And at some point of time, it will become ashes. This thing that you will leave, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
it's a product, it's a process or something like that. I believe it will become ashes, and you have to just just bury it under the ground and move on, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but not the whole company, not the whole system, but something,
Yeah.
you know, something in the system will die, you know.
Yeah, if you're talking, for example, about beliefs that we have,
Yeah,
or mindsets that, so it's something that it's keeping us stuck, and or is not helping us responding to current situations or move forward, then it's in this process where we are managing the change. These need to be, be left behind or turned into ashes, as you say. And it was interesting because right before that, I was listening to a session with Peter Bergman, and he said, people do not resist to change, but resist you wanted to impose that change. You telling them that.
yeah, that's very true. Actually, imposing and making a powerful a power stance on change is something that really creates a lot of resistance. So, but however, I believe that in some manner, I saw a lot, many situations that we had, that there were changes that happened, and we had to maybe put some energy on it, and maybe face the facts, make the organization, make the facts, or the
Yeah.
teams or the systems that here, and it's the change is happening, you know, and
Yes.
we have to face these facts.
So I will not be able to. Within 48 hours, anytime it will be
So
done.
maybe we will mute. Okay, okay. So actually, when we are, and I believe that I want to maybe put a question to engage the audience, when there was something that happened, you know, externally or internally, that they faced, maybe in their organizations, in their teams, and their practice, in their leadership, where they needed to provoke change, or maybe start thinking differently, or they had the urge to start, you know, thinking differently and disrupt the way they are doing business, or making a rebirth and giving up something and putting in something else. So can you think about a moment where you had this internally and externally, and maybe share with us on the chat? And if somebody wants to participate in talking, maybe just raise your hands and you're welcome.
Yeah. What caused that change, right?
Yeah. That change. Okay. So until then, until somebody steps up.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe it's easier to just use the chat.
So actually, until then, I believe that there are lots of stories that we actually in the last few years, when I worked with different companies, there was actually a team that I was working with for something like 10 years now, and maybe at the 8th year there was a major conflict that was happening between the partners, and some of them were actually working in literally silos. You know, it's over time things were going off track and conflicts were not spoken, and actually in a way the leader, hey Sharaf, we need you again. Actually, there is something that's happening that I don't like in the organization, and we need to start looking at it in a different manner. And please help me to regain back the glue, the glue back to the culture and the organization. And I believe that it was thanks God that the partners really had it together, that they had this value of being the essence of their relationship was really coming forward, and actually they really, and the essence of why they do what they do, and the big why that was moving them was common, and it was an easy assignment. I believe it was not that hard. However, the conflict or the unspoken things, when they were accumulated for a couple of years, actually everyone created assumptions and started moving and created behaviors that were actually creating lots of entropy or wasted energy inside the organization, because actually there were lots of unspoken things through the time that were actually accumulating, assumptions, judgments, and maybe remedies that they were taking as leaders to make things just move on. And actually what was happening, it was actually eroding the organization, its processes, the communication, eroding their relationship, and actually creating silos where each team, after 2 years of time, some teams felt victimized, some other teams felt like they were actually in a hostile environment where everybody is actually not taking accountability on their actions in a way, because everybody else is wrong. Everybody else is doing the bad way. So I believe that this was a start or a calling, when this happened and the leader felt it, and actually there was a drain in manpower and a turnover that was happening with the organization. That's where he called me, that was a sign, So I believe for every major disruption or major change that is coming, there are sometimes early signs. I'm not sure that everyone is seeing or not. So maybe can you share maybe some stories about these early signs, or maybe a relatable story that we can talk about?
I think what you're mentioning is one of the indicators. At the same time, I think that that can happen regardless of if we have an adverse or environment or another cause for disruption. And it can come, for example, from the culture of the organization. And maybe the previous, because of the previous leaderships or other cultural elements, the unspoken, contracts that existed had even created a toxic environment. And that definitely is not sustainable or healthy. So, and I can think also cases where the organization was intentionally creating the new culture. So there was to clarify, the new vision, the new values, and everything that came together with that. And working with the team, and especially the leadership team, is helping us to not only clarify what does that mean in practice, the new culture, and unite us and align us with this shared now purpose, a shared identity and philosophy, but also become the role models of that. So that we are, it's easier for us to, as we become role models, to, to turn to ashes the old model that we have, and just keep showing up with the new model that we have. So there can be many reasons and many causes that can cause the disruption, as you said, either internal or external. And we can have different let's say, symptoms that can identify or indicators. Even when, or even the way that technology now is advancing, and what that means in other traditional ways of working, how is that changing? Or maybe even products that are services that are not relevant anymore because of technology. What does that mean for the organization that creates these programs or services? So it's not only to see internally in the organization how we operate, what we do, but also to be very aware and pay attention outside of your organization, what's going on, what's happening. Another example about that is, and that was a study actually that was done about what are the consumers want in brands. And one of the things is that they want to have trust in the brands, and they don't want the brands to focus on profits anymore, but on the impact that they have. And that can be the impact on the society, the communities, the environment, everything. And that means that the brands now need to take that under consideration and see how they incorporate that now. What is it that they need to do differently and how?
So maybe a simple question, like an externally provoked by a client's need, like this, like what you have said, maybe a reason to start disrupting yourself. Maybe an internal thing is actually like changing the culture, changing the vision, changing the practices, and actually in a way, I believe that you highlighted in the middle also the role of the leader to actually to role model the change in himself or themselves, yani, as you know, as positive role models, and turn the negative or the old practices into ashes and start giving birth to the new practices. And this is the role of the leader. However, I believe to build on that, you know, to this is actually there are lots of team dynamics that here that between when you lead changes, especially in the complex environments that we're having now, and organizations getting larger, collaboration with vendors and maybe other collaboration with other integration companies, you know, and how teams now are not isolated of what's happening in the society, what's happening between them, and what's happening in the maybe the COVID, what happened, like a major thing that disrupted business 1.5 years ago, and now actually we're getting more used and aligned to this disruption that came out as an external force majeure that's happening. Maybe some driving forces, like, you know, like the UN, maybe sustainable goals that are something that are purposeful for some organizations to keep sustaining, or something like that. Something like, you know, there are lots of external, internal forces that are actually calling in for change, and some of the team members put value for this and others do not, and sometimes there are actually anti, you know, and the UN will say something, I will not follow, you know. This kind of, so actually the team dynamics itself, I believe now putting everything on the lap of the leader, that they are the only responsible for the change, is really, I believe, in a way, is not reasonable, and especially with the modern culture or the modern generations, where they actually feel more collaborative and expecting more of a service leader than a directive leader, as the earlier older generations.
And we even have organizations that they don't have the hierarchy; they have horizontal models. It's not just the leader. So when you become when you have the new culture, you know, your new ways of behaving, an agile mindset and way of working, or resilience, or, you know, even the pressures. So Nancy puts there the loss of hope sometimes, communicating with empathy towards that. So if you have all these qualities and also skills and behaviors, that it needs to be modeling by everybody. That means not just the leader. The leader can inspire. Then you have the leadership team that they will be then, you know, the models for that, and they will inspire the other teams, also their people. And when you have an organization that every part of the organization embraces and show up from that point, you have the real impact of that, and you can tell that, yeah, you know, I have transformed my organization. I have what I wanted to have. Yeah.
Thank you, Katerina, for that. And actually, I really love your insights about the desire to change, and how or the reasons for change and how it accumulates and how it turns into something new. So actually, I want to give some time for the audience to maybe interact a little bit. So does anyone of the audience that we have here, because we're a closed room now, so anyone have something to add or something to maybe come in as invited in the conversation before we move to the maybe next point, or on how we as team coaches actually support the organizations when such changes or such need and urge for rebirth is happening. So can maybe any addition or something that we
Nancy adds global change.
Nobody has silence.
Nancy adds global challenge that you are forced to follow or you will be knocked out.
Okay. And Nancy, do you like to maybe speak about your comment here?
Hi, Sharaf and Katerina. Actually, no, I was just reflecting on your questions and the way you were speaking about change and the ashes and the phoenix and all of this. And I recall situations when we had shifted the style of leadership, or we even as a team or as or a management level, or even or on a director level. And these were the things that, or the situation, or the highlight of the situation that I've been through. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. Really appreciated. Actually, what were? Can I ask you something? And what were the real difficulties that happened throughout the change? You know, and when it was forced, you know.
One of the changes was that we were always behind our competitor, so we had to change. We always waited for them to launch their products and see what they are doing, and do similar, or try to do something slightly better than them. So we were always competing afterwards. But we will never ahead. We always behind, and all the figures and the statistics were behind, although the team were actually burned out. So when we started to talk with the teams and started to listen actually to what was happening, and inspire them to introduce ideas, we started actually to lead the competition, and the application I'm talking about now is leading the market, the market actually in Egypt right now. This was one of the situations that happened. Other change was about that the management always forced unrealistic deadlines, and everyone in the team was doing his best to fit in and actually succeed in achieving this deadline, and it never happened. So when it came a day when we all just said this will not happen, and we sent an email to the management that we failed to do this because we didn't have support of 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to achieve this, we need this. So it was like we as a middle layer management, or the employee they manage, spoke out claiming that change to happen. That's what happened in both situations.
So I believe, thank you, Nancy, for this, and it is very illustrative. Actually, the dialogue itself was something that promoted actually opening up and being really candid, and this candor that happened between you as a team and the leadership when they forced things and you asked for support, and there was a conflict here.
Yes, it wasn't
there was
an
a
easy
conflict.
Conversation. Yes,
it was an open discussion, and actually it led to you being the first now, and you are leading the market now. When things happen the way that you collaborated as a team with the leadership to co-create a solution.
Yes, when we listened, to the team.
when they listened and they co-created, and you co-created the situation. And this is actually where we as team coaches actually come in to support actually this, because not all the leadership or not all the leaders, and actually this is something that's the habit of mind where when leaders are creating more habits. Thank you, Nancy, actually for this. And actually when leaders are actually put on the in their leadership, and actually when they're they're having this habit of being the superiors, the pioneers, the ones that are taking the right decisions all the time. They're the most experienced and this stuff. And actually when there's always seeing the subordinates as inferiors, and actually I'll say this, you have to follow, and I'm the privileged, I'm the responsible, so I have to follow my orders. And in a way, when there is no safety, what will happen is that everybody will act small and everybody will throw the blame. And this is where toxins come, when loss of hope comes, when the signals and symptoms that you were talking about, Katerina, early on, will come all together. Actually, we don't feel belonging. We don't feel that this is that we are here. It's not safe. I don't feel like I trust the leadership. They're taking wrong decisions. We may have some people who are peers to us who are thinking better than them, and maybe we'll go to another company and we will express our competency there because they will give us a chance and we will grow. These are not decisions that this skepticism, these doubts, and actually creates rumors, it creates silos, it creates lots of unspoken things when there is no listening. And actually here comes the role of the team coach to do what? So this is, thank you, Nancy, for this story. And I believe,
Yeah, so having a toxic leader is one of the cases. I'm thinking also other cases so that might not have, let's say, symptoms yet. Like, for example, there is a merger of companies, which is really frequent in multinational companies, or you have a family business and then the next generation comes. So you have this transition. And the new demographics, the new generation. So there is another opportunity there that disrupts the old way of doing business, and now there is a new way or a new demand. So there are several other factors that can guide us. That doesn't mean that there is already a conflict in them or we have a toxic leader, but require us to create a systemic change. And that's the opportunity with when we're working in organizations, either with teams or with groups, we are able to create a systemic change, which will make the change more sustainable. In one organization, it was just as simple as having the opportunity to have now the new values, and there was actually no external factor for that, and what is creating that? If we frequently check with ourselves what's going on, for us, but what's going on around us, then we are able to see, is our mission as an organization still relevant? Is it responding to the needs that exist? Is it bringing results, and to whom? What is the impact that is having? So to have these conversations means that we have created an environment that's okay to have these conversations. And as you said, if we have the other kind of leader, I am the authority, you are missing out on these opportunities. You cannot have these conversations.
Yeah. Thank you, Katerina, for this. So can you tell me a typical assignment of a team coach, how it can actually happen with an organization? And when do organizations call for a team coach, especially that this modality is something that's new, and I believe that ICF just nailed the competences, and you were one of those SMEs who did this. You know, you're coming off the kitchen now. One of 14 SMEs I know that already nailed these competences to be added on the ICF, the core competences of individual coaching. Actually, what is the typical way of work of a team coach versus the facilitator versus the other modalities? What?
Yes, and that was very important to clarify what is the difference between all these modalities, because all these modalities are serving the same. They are serving the development of the team, right? So an organization is going to invite you to come because basically they want the development of the teams inside the organization. So you have team building, you have training of the team, you have consulting of the team, or mentoring the team, or team facilitation. And of course, you have the team coaching. Now, the team coaching usually lasts for months. So for example, the training or the team building is short from 1 to 5 days, let's say. But in coaching requires months of sessions. It's an ongoing process where the team and the coach are partnering in this process. And the growth areas are the goals that the team will define. And one of the goals, or one of the growth areas actually, is the sustainability of this team. And in the form, in the shape that the team will decide, okay, this is, you know, what it looks like for me. Of course, we work with the team dynamics. There might be conflicts that we need to manage there and more stuff. Yeah, that's the table there. And the ownership of the expertise is entirely to the team. Now, I'm going to say something that might be very provocative and raise some eyebrows. When I was hearing for you know, clients to say, you know, let's do a team building activity, and I knew what were the intention, what were they trying, let's say, to solve or achieve with the team building activity, I was thinking they are just burning their money. And why is that? Because, you know, okay, you go, you do the team building activity, you do these exercises, you maybe have fun. For the time you're doing these activities, maybe the relationship will be improved, but nothing below the surface will not have been addressed. So when we are talking about sustainability, we're talking about systemic change, which means that it's not what is in the surface, it's not what we are seeing, like the behavior, but it's about the beliefs, the mindsets that are below the surface that are driving these behaviors.
Can I maybe add a metaphor for this? I feel
Yes.
when they tell that to you know, solve big problems with a team building day and have everybody have fun, and this, it's like a sort of a painkiller, like, you know, these kind of pills that go in the water and finish, you know.
Oh my God, sometimes it can be worse, because I will tell you, I was seeing the team building activities that actually were, you know, had like sports activities, and they had the element of competition. And I was thinking, well, you want them to collaborate more, or you already have people who are very competitive, or they are working, you know, in an individualistic way, in silos instead of collaboration. So if you're putting more competition among them, how is that going to help, right? And I was thinking, oh my God. But one thing that it's also clear is that the team coach is aware of the other modalities and is clear with the team what the team coach is going to do, and even when maybe the intervention from his part of another modality will be needed. For example, if I'm working with a team and the topic of diversity comes up, and how we work together and create more awareness about our diversity inside the team, but also inside the organization, I will take then the role of the mentor maybe there, or the trainer, to share more about diversity. So the way I can use a tool about diversity might be in what seemed directive, but it's not the purpose to have the more narrowed perspective, but to open up the perspective, so to give them more perspectives and understanding.
Yeah. And then comes the role of the team coach, or the team coaching modality. After the knowledge is there is a benchmark or something for knowledge. We need to apply this. So actually we have to dig it deeper in our behaviors,
exactly,
in our hearts, to actually to resolve the conflicts between the team members, and maybe re-engineer the social network of the organization to move in alignment with the new strategy or the new learning.
Yeah.
And here I believe that the first, this word, it was first nailed by one of my mentors, Thomas Gartenman, who said, "I will work below the neck. Expect training to be here. My workshops are here."
Indeed. And I like to give I like to use the visual of a iceberg, where, because you have above the surface what is visible, and then below the surface is everything that it is not visible to you. And then for us to understand that in team coaching, each one of the members of the team, they bring their own icebergs, but also as a team collectively, we co-create another iceberg. We have, the shared assumptions as a team, or shared beliefs, that then we create specific behavior. So this is our own iceberg. And then all these systems of icebergs, they are operating in the bigger iceberg of the organization. So it sounds complicated, but really it's not. And these are the things that just by just by bringing to our attention, it creates a huge impact.
Yes, it's not only huge, I believe it's everlasting. It takes a lot of time to build, and also it's very hard to break. And actually, I believe that this iceberg, this model that you're saying, it shows how an individual in his individual relationships inside an organization, these are icebergs together. Inside his team, that's another iceberg, and maybe a vertical team, or maybe a team of teams that he's working with, or maybe an interdepartmental team that he's contributing in a project that's cross-functional or something like that. This is another team, and these are all icebergs, connected to the same person, and they are part of the bigger organizations. And here to create a new alignment between all these icebergs around each and every individual, it needs a collective mindset and collective wisdom. And also there are lots of conflicts and sharp edges here that needs to be outspoken. And I believe what's really important here is the safety. The difference, the real difference between all these modalities and team coaching that I felt, Katerina, was actually creating the psychological safety to make people actually speak up and be comfortable sharing their feelings, their conflicts, and their ideas, even if they're naive and they're actually very abstract in the beginning. All new ideas are really stupid.
Well, basically,
it's awkward and stupid.
Yes. Basically, if we haven't established trust and safety, nothing is possible. That's, for me, is given. And regardless of what modality you are operating, if you really want something to work, you have to establish self-trust and safety. And there are actually strategies on how to do that. I have the background of trainer and be a mentor of adult trainers, and there we talk about the educational contract. In therapy, my other background is in therapy, and we talk about the therapeutic contract that we have with the client, the patient. In a similar way, with a team, we create the contract with them. There, we clarify how we want to work together. So what are our rules? What are our norms that we establish? And what are we here to create? What are our hopes, our wishes, expectations, maybe insecurities, fears, anything? Then we by establishing the norms, because we have the professional, like we have the professional agreement. This is what we are here to do. For example, increase our performance. We have the admin with all the logistics sorted out, and then it's about the essence of the psychological contract. If we skip that, we are missing out on the biggest opportunity to establish the norms and rules that are going to help us create this safety that you said, the psychological safety, and at the same time, increase the trust by understanding what is it that we care about individually, but also collectively, and how from that we co-create then our goals and our commitments for this process.
Hey, that's amazing.
And for any professional who doesn't take enough time to co-create that with a team or with a group, if they're working with a group, they are setting themselves for a failure. But the other thing is that this is not enough to agree on these norms. For example, confidentiality, let's say, right? Or we are really listening to each other. We are listening without interrupting, for example, or we are listening with empathy, or we bring curiosity and beginner's mind. So, and so many other, and each one will contribute, because the question is, what do you need so that this is a safe space? And then we have them, they are visible for us, and we check them. Are they still relevant? Are we okay still with these norms and and standards that we have? Do we need to go back and recontract about something of that? So it's something that we need to really pay attention. Psychological safety needed for many reasons. And people make the assumption that psychological safety is, it's about not being nice. No, it's not actually. It's when we are able and free to be direct, when we are and we are helping others being vulnerable. So this is the psychological safety. And we have several obstacles for that. But what that will do, if we are talking about the systemic change then, is that we are going to be to access and reflect and reconsider our mental models. So my assumptions, my values, what are the beliefs that shape the system that we have created or I have created. So the mental models also reflect about the system structures. What are the patterns that we had created of behaviors? What trends are there? And what are the influences that have created these patterns? So that we are able then to change the events, what we do and what is happening.
I believe that what you are bringing here, actually, from opening up, bringing the values, bringing the mental models, bringing worldviews, the different influences, is actually something that most of the organizations now are striving, because of the different factors that are coming in, are observed by the many eyes of the organization, and to collect them together in a wise action that we collectively all can work on. I believe that here, bringing the team coaching as a modality to work with organizations, whether you are a leader who is using this as a practice, or bringing an external team coach to work with your organization, is actually something that enables the organization for more agility. And this is something most of the software companies that I work with, and technology companies, are asking for, the agile coaching. And actually, it's mostly the modeling totally the team coaching practice that we're having, and maybe the software geeks and guys are actually are actually ahead of all other industries in implementing this, the agility and the agile coaching. And actually it brings innovation, it brings sustainability, it brings getting rid of the old patterns very quickly and easily that are not useful, and embracing the new. Brings also more alignment, lean practices in terms of operational efficiency. So I'm not sure now, Katerina, maybe you've been there before me by some years. So how to build a culture and awareness on the clients to make them make use of this and actually understand that these impacts are real. Even when you go with success stories, they seem still doubtful. When we go there and tell them that this is what we'll do, but it is a longer term encounter. It will take some time, and transformation takes time. And this is your commitment is what will make us reach there. They seem skeptical in the beginning, and actually most of them are really hesitant to invest in such a modality. So how can you build culture around it? It's really a challenge. This is what I'm facing.
There's many questions from coaches. How do we, tell to the organization that they need to do that? Well, it's the same way that when they come for the one-on-one coaching, they come actually for the results of it. They come for the development, the growth, the impact. They don't care if coaching is the vehicle for that, but they come because they have heard the stories of success. So it is important to increase the awareness of the benefits. It is important to tell the stories, and so that the people from the organizations can understand what is possible. And of course, no one wants to have at the same time, the repetition of anything that it is not helpful. So it is what is at stake, what will happen. So here's the opportunity, here is what has happened, what will happen if you don't do it. The other thing about the team coaching is that the coach, it's about the how we are changing while we are doing the process, but then how we are expanding like a cascade this change. Because then what happens is that the team members learn to communicate, so they learn the new skills of communications. They operate more with all, the skills, the competencies that are needed, especially either in disruptive or in crisis or in times of change, anything that you say, but basically to any, healthy environment. The authoritarian leader who used to micromanage is not doing that anymore, and is actually listening and letting the talents to contribute, so there is more innovation. But as they do and they repeat these, they own basically these new behaviors, these are expanded, because then they go outside of the team, and that's how they operate now. And then the others are inspired by this, and they take also the model, and it is expanding. So, so it is about actually creating more awareness about the benefits. Yes, as you said, we have more innovative solutions. Our talents are there, and they contribute more. There is the systemic transformation, which is sustainable. The team becomes aligned and cohesive. The performance is maximized, and who doesn't want to have a better performance? We manage disagreements and conflict effectively, because we cannot, it's impossible not to have disagreements and conflict. That's impossible. And it's healthy to have disagreements, but we learn how to manage them constructively. And that doesn't stay only when we have the sessions, because then again, the skills of how to have these conversations goes outside of the sessions. they reproduce that. So the relationship become improved. There is inclusion, there is inclusiveness. And of course, any strategies that are decided, let's say for business purposes, they are implemented faster. So yeah, so there are a lot of benefits. And for me, I don't know if anyone has another idea, maybe one from the audience has another idea, but for me, the best thing we could do is, to inform about the benefits and share stories.
Yeah. Thank you, Katerina. I believe that there are lots to say here, but we have only something like 8 minutes to top the hour now that we promised everyone that we will finish. So actually, I believe that there are lots of things to talk about team coaching, and this is just scratching the surface. And maybe we covered during this today the need for change and disruption and rebirth and degeneration in the organizations, where it comes from, and what are the early symptoms for that, and when do we call the team coach, and what is the team coaching modality versus others, what are the benefits of the team coaching that comes in the end. We talked about conflict, safe space, trust, alignment, innovation. We talked about maybe more than what we promised, but it was only scratching the surface, still we didn't. So actually, I really loved the discussion with you, Katerina. We are open to any questions from the audience. Really, I'm really valuing everyone who took from their time and actually attended with us this session. I'm seeing really brilliant names from the region here, especially, yeah. And if you have something to maybe ask Katerina or myself, you are welcome. And maybe before we close, we just have something like a couple of announcements, maybe to communicate with Katerina or communicate with ourselves, with myself or something. If you want to, maybe I'll share some slides here. Just one moment, actually. Katerina is part of team coaching global alliance, yes. And actually they provide a CCU program, and actually it is they have the next enrollment. It's on and this is actually the contacts of Katerina, if you have to actually 6 steps ahead to serve organizations. And the team and group coaching alliance, this is the team coaching global. And Katerina Kanelidou, if you are searching for her on LinkedIn or Facebook. Okay. And for us, for Authentic Coaching Academy, we have actually something that we want to actually announce today. Actually, we're having a program that will start by 11th of a team coaching program, which is an ACSTH, accredited coach specific training hours from ICF. It's 100 hours ACSTH. And it includes 3 modules, and actually it's 3 practice coaching sessions and access to a learning management system for 1 year, as well this 360 assessment and 3 coaching sessions. It starts 11th or 12th of July. Actually, we may shift from Monday to Sunday. I'm not sure in Europe what's the best day. It's Sunday or Monday, where both days are actually we're opening, and the investment is, actually we're having a discount of 50% for the first cohort. To just copy the code, which is Reborn to June 2021. And actually, I believe that there is a code also that's from Team Coaching Global Association Alliance, that's from Katerina, that she may actually provide for the group by the end, maybe and attendees after the conference. Do you have it now, or maybe we can provide a 15%? There's actually a regional discount that can happen. Actually, these are my contacts here. Authentic Coaching Academy and LinkedIn, you can find it, Facebook and Instagram, and this is our email and mobile phone. And these are my contacts. And actually, we're having to serve the companies, we're having a brand called Innovation Creed, but it's part of Authentic Coaching Academy. So these are the contacts. If somebody wants to just take a screenshot or something and needs any service in team coaching, or from myself or from Katerina, just take a screenshot and you start communicating directly with either of us. I want to thank you really, Katerina, for your time, and want to thank the attendees and maybe if there are any questions, put it in the conversation or just raise your hand. And actually, we will attend to that. We have a couple of minutes before closure.
Thank you, Sharaf. I will follow up with a discount coupon for the September cohort for your community.
Thank you, Katerina, and hopefully, really, I believe that you rock. As this is actually, it's the school that I should belong to because it includes my mentor and my coach, and actually, so so inclusively, I'm a member of this school. And my teachers. So okay. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. There are thanks on the chat here from everyone, but nobody wanted to speak. So
thank you.
It's an open mic, guys. And if anyone wants to open the mic, open the camera, and just jump in, you're welcome. So just okay. Thank you, Katerina, and have a nice day, everyone. Okay, thank you.
I thank you very much, Sharaf, for the conversation and the opportunity, and thanks to everyone who joined us.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.